Aloha! Welcome to Sally's Home Cooking, bringing you Moringa Macadamia Nut Pesto. Stay tuned. Here are the ingredients for this week's recipe. I particularly like to prepare all of my ingredients before I start cooking or making the dish. So let's start with preparing our moringa. Here you're seeing how I'm removing the stems from the moringa. You only need the leaves. For this particular dish, we need a mature moringa. And because it's heartier leaves than a basil, we will cook the leaves. Let's preheat our oven to 350 so we can toast our macadamia nuts. Toasting your macadamia nuts actually will bring out more flavor. And most especially, this macadamia nuts, I got this from a farmer's market and they are raw. While waiting for our macadamia nuts to be toasted, let's prepare the other ingredients. Oh, look at that. Lime is so refreshing. It smells so good in the kitchen right now. And so since I'm using the food processor, I am just cracking my garlic and removing the skin. Similar to the garlic, we are just peeling our ginger. Chop it up and put it in our food processor. Or if you don't have a food processor, use a blender. And if you don't have a blender, you can use a mortar and pestle. I chose parsley as the spice that accompany the moringa pesto. You know, sometimes you have to be careful on what spices do you choose in adding to moringa. I am going, based on what my mom used to cook when I was a kid. And moringa with coriander, with ginger and garlic. It goes together. It has been 10 minutes and let's check our macadamia nuts. Ooh, look at that. It smells wonderful and you can clearly see the oils are coming out of the macadamia nut. And you really want that flavor, nutty flavor in your pesto. I really like using parchment paper when toasting my macadamia nut because it's so easy to transfer to a bowl. All of our ingredients were prepared, so we are actually ready to blend our pesto. So let's start with the blanched moringa leaves. You put that first and then add your parsley. I like to put the greens first, most especially because I'm using heartier greens here. And then you add your ginger and your garlic. Pulse that a little bit just so they are combined. And then you add your salt. This is actually Hawaiian salt. And if you don't have Hawaiian salt, it's okay to use a coarse salt. Then add your macadamia nuts. Pulse a little bit until blended. Don't forget to scrape the sides of your processor. You want all of those leaves to be blended. And here I'm only adding a pinch of the crushed red pepper because my family does not like too spicy. If I have to make this recipe for my own, it would be a full teaspoon of crushed pepper. Now let's add the lime juice and let's slowly drizzle the olive oil. Pulse this for about 3 minutes. And now that's done, and look at that result, how divine! Healthy Moringa Macadamia Nut Pesto. It's time for us to transfer our pesto into jars. I usually like to use our mason jar. My husband usually calls them moonshine jar. He's addicted into this moonshine show. But anyhow, scrape all of that pesto, put it in a container. You do not want to waste even a drop. Look at how beautiful that moringa pesto is. And one good thing about it is that you know that this is a very nutritious pesto. This particular pesto is non-traditional. We did not put any cheese because normally, well, at least for us in the Philippines, we do not put cheese in our malunggay recipes. So I just filled up the jar. Make sure when you're storing this moringa pesto, remove the air bubbles inside, as you normally would when you're canning or making jams. It's the same technique. This moringa pesto will store very well, and you can actually keep it in the fridge 3 to 4 weeks. One good thing about the ingredients that we use for this specific recipe, we have ginger, which is really refreshing, and we used lime that will preserve the color of the moringa. And before you seal your jar, make sure that you wipe the mouth, and so that the lid will completely seal. I'm using a food saver attachment here. This is a jar sealer, vacuum sealed, and I got this from Amazon. I will share the link down below under description. I really love my jar attachment vacuum seal because I can seal my jars. I particularly use them when I'm drying my herbs that I grow in the garden, and instead of storing them in plastic bags or Ziploc bags, I store them in jars and vacuum seal. They last longer. And there you have it. You can see there, it's sealed and it's really tight. All right, so one jar down. Look at how awesome looking that moringa pesto is. So let's go back to the rest of the moringa pesto. I will scrape everything because I don't want to waste even a drop. So the rest of the pesto, I will put it in a jar but won't seal it as I did the other one. I will use a plastic lid. I do know for sure that we will use this right away. My family loves pesto. We put this in our toast, in our salmon, in pasta. And actually next week I will show you how to make a fresh pasta and how to use this moringa macadamia nut pesto. And there you have it, a divine, delicious, beautiful, nutritious Moringa Macadamia Nut Pesto. Please like, subscribe to Sally's Home Cooking. Ahui ho!